your role has been eliminated. Today will be your last day in office. You will be
She's shocked.
on paid leave.
I bet you she's gonna start crying.
Will work with
I
all
bet
hiring
you.
managers to make sure your resume is reviewed.
There it goes.
Look, I know this is difficult news. This
Crazy.
like this are never easy for us to share out as well. But I do want to take a minute and truly appreciate your contributions and
It's
the
tough,
impact
man.
you've had here. Thank you for what you've given to the company.
In 2026, probably more than ever, people are documenting their worst possible life moments, even professional moments where they get laid off. In 2025 and 2026, layoffs are soaring. But these layoffs that are coming from companies are not emotional decisions by companies. They're not bad fortune by companies. They're something different. They're structural. You see, these companies often intended to hire during cheap capital cycles and try to grow and expand their workforce. But what do we know about at least the last couple of years that has changed the game in companies? Well, a few things. Number one, the company's capital has changed. The cost of capital has also changed over the last few years. Second, the adoption of AI has proliferated across businesses. And a lot of companies are preparing for the adoption of AI due to organizational efficiency efforts. Now, what's happening in corporate world is that corporations are realigning their profitability to fit different types of projections since they're introducing things like AI. So when money tightens, what do companies do? They're going to first optimize for the company's survival more so than anyone else's. And unfortunately, that includes a lot of people. You know, payroll isn't usually just a line item on a P&L. It's usually one of the biggest, if not the biggest expense that a company has to go through. But it's not just tech that's going through layoffs. It's the media, retail, startups, mid-sized private companies, and even legacy firms who are trying to preserve their margins. All of these firms together are starting to experience some kind of contraction on the labor front. Let's take a look to see what some people are going through right now in this job market.
Tough story haunts me at night. This girl gets sent to Florida on a work trip, not vacation, for a project for them. She lands, gets an email that says, "I'm sorry, we regret to inform you." The best part is that they canceled her flight home. I'm sorry, what? Companies don't care.
Wait,
please,
what?
Please stop.
They canceled her flight home? That is crazy. That's almost criminal, not to mention unethical that you do that. Nah, that's crazy.
Giving 100% of yourself to them. And for anyone that's going to say, well, if you're good at your job or you're a high performer, you're safe, I got a story for you coming tomorrow that you might want to follow for, because.
So I don't really endorse giving half effort, half trying at work, but companies don't make it easy when they do stupid stuff like cancel your return flight home when you're on your way home. That to me is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And the company should definitely be ashamed of themselves.
All right, this is the update you have all been waiting for on my unemployment/layoff situation. Yes, I actually did get laid off. Yes, I actually was late to the meeting to lay me off.
This dude was late to the meeting to lay him off, which tells me that he probably was late to other stuff too. So maybe this is just a sign of other stuff.
I worked at a company called Angie. It's a public company. The ticker is ANGI. It's a tech company in the home services space.
Yeah. In the home services space, Angie kind of has a reputation for for misleading leads, giving, there's some issues there. We've used Angie's in one of my companies, and yeah.
There was a total of 350 people who were laid off, including myself and members of my team, as well as members of many other different teams. This is all public, by the way. I'm not going to be sharing anything that is confidential, proprietary, or anything that violates my severance agreement. So
this seems like the kind of guy that wants to go find himself.
Yeah, so I got laid off. It's all good though. No bad blood. It's well within their right to lay me off. I worked as a strategy and operations analyst, and so I was non-technical. I did a lot of data analysis. My team in general ran a lot of A/B tests.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all in the past now. So as for what's next, I don't really know. I'm going to take some time off for myself. I definitely won't be diving directly back into the recruiting grind. One of my New Year's resolutions this year was to hit a certain time goal for the Ironman I'm training for in Lake Placid in July. So I'll spend more time focused on that. Another New Year's resolution.
Nice to not have to be focused
a bit more
about
seriously. So
actually getting
most of you guys here are probably
money.
new, but I've been kind of messing around making content, mostly around fitness and triathlon for the past year, just for fun. But again, a New Year's resolution of mine is to take that a little bit more seriously. So you guys can expect more of that content coming soon. So follow along. Also, I just moved to New York, so I've been trying to kind of up my fashion game, find my own personal style. So you can expect some content around that in the future. But overall, yeah, I don't really know. Take it day by day. We'll see what happens.
There's definitely opportunity when you get laid off for sure. You kind of start to be able to pursue some of the dreams that you wanted to pursue that you weren't able to pursue before because, you know, you were working. But I mean, there's countless stories of people who have gotten laid off and who have pursued otherwise other goals that they wouldn't have been able to do if they weren't necessarily if they weren't employed. So I hope it works out for the guy, but content creation as a career is a tough one. So hopefully he knows what he's doing and he has a plan for that. We'll see.
What's up, everybody? Here we are, January 2026.
Here we are.
Not to disappoint, it has come in with a bang. What can I say? Laid off once again. You know, this economy is really starting to irritate out of me. Companies are folding up quicker than a damn fake $2 bill. People are losing their jobs quicker than you can run out of hot water and
It's
a
tough
good
out
shower.
there.
And this is just really annoying. So, if anybody knows who's hiring, looking for a good HR person, hey, I'm out here again.
This lady
Look
has
me
been
up
out.
on LinkedIn. I'm on there. I'm
She has
everywhere.
been on the grind
Problem
before.
is, every damn body in the same boat I'm in. Oh, everybody in the same damn boat I'm in.
True.
What we gonna do?
Content creation, apparently. That's the answer. Well, she's true. There's a lot of people in the same boat that she is in. I spoke to an individual who's applied to over 1,000 jobs and has gotten 5, count them on one hand, 5 callbacks from other people. So, you know, I find that interesting.
Last month marked the worst January for job layoffs since 2009, according to a new report. So according to outplacement firm Challenger Gray and Christmas, U.S.-based employers announced more than 108,000 job cuts in January, marking an increase of 118% from the cuts announced the same time last year. Roughly 40% of last month's layoffs can be attributed solely to Amazon and UPS. The companies cut 16,000 and 30,000 jobs, respectively. The UPS cuts were tied to its ongoing wind down of its delivery arrangement with Amazon.
Let's just pause this for a second. I kind of knew that UPS was going to struggle after they signed that massive contract with the drivers. Now, UPS has repeatedly stated that that contract is not a reason for the layoffs. I'm sure that they don't tie it directly to the new contract, but I mean, let's be honest. They knew that that contract was coming. They can automate their way out of certain jobs to reduce their overhead. Seems like that's what they're doing. But UPS, I mean, people have been on the chopping block on UPS recently.
Rossman joins us now. He's a principal analyst at personal finance website Bankrate. So what are the biggest reasons for these cuts?
Well, there are a few things going on here. There's a lot of uncertainty that's been interjected into the market really ever since tariffs were announced last April. We haven't totally recovered from some of that shock to the economy. Businesses are in kind of wait and see mode. The artificial intelligence boom.
So there they go. The top reasons for 2026 layoffs. It says contract loss, so losing contracts, the economy, generally speaking, the economy. I mean, I can see that. Restructuring, closing, AI. Like AI is now a top 5 reason, and that is not going to slow down. I'm just being honest with you. That is not going to slow down. 6, cost cutting. Businesses are always cost cutting, and they're going to continue to do so as long as the reason for their cost cutting has to do with efficiency. 5 and 6 are closely related. 5 being AI, 6 being just cost cutting. 7, demand loss. That's interesting. I wonder where specifically demand is falling off. 8, the EV tax credit expiration. 9, Doge. So, I mean, it's not a surprise that a lot of the businesses or companies that are feeling the loss in revenue. So 9 and 1 kind of go together. 1 is contract loss, 9 is Doge, right? Department of Government Efficiency. They started cutting a lot of federal contracts, ending them to save money. And that's going to affect a lot of small businesses and or medium and large size businesses that have been doing business with the government for a long time. So that money is going away. Merges, tariffs, and relocation. I'm sure tariffs obviously are having a big effect. It depends. The actual real data, like the objective data, is mixed on tariffs. If you hear someone say it's one way versus the other, that is not true. It is mixed, depending on what industry you're in.
Boom is also leading to some layoffs. I mean, in some respects, it's good that people are more productive. It's just not as good that people are losing jobs or not being hired as a result. Some of the sectors that have been most affected include technology, transportation, and healthcare.
Let's talk more about the industries and why they're seeing the biggest cuts.
Yeah, healthcare is an interesting one because that's actually also one of the areas where we're seeing the most hiring. So that's a little bit weird. We're seeing a lot of hiring and firing. There's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions and kind of shakeouts in the healthcare sector. We're generally upbeat about the future of healthcare. We have an aging population. We have a great need for healthcare workers. So that one's not as much of a concern. I would say also that in the long run, we're pretty upbeat about things like technology and transportation as well.
Let me just pause this for a second. Entrepreneurs, take note. Your job is to find the holes in the marketplace, and healthcare is going to explode. If you can be innovative with healthcare somehow, find a way to get yourself into healthcare and to provide some sort of service or product that healthcare could use. It's a good time to do it, especially with AI.
Well, just because we continue to live in an ever more so tech savvy culture, transportation. I mean, you talk about e-commerce and just how important that is. So some of this may be kind of temporary noise as there's a bit of a recalibration. We've had a weird few years in the economy, really ever going back to the pandemic. And then afterwards, we had that whole great resignation thing and everybody was switching jobs. And we're still settling back to some form of normal.
I do want to ask you what direction you think the job market is going into for the rest of the year.
The job market has been weakening, but back to that point about normalization, in some respects, it's really just back where it was in, say, 2019 or early 2020. We saw record levels of job openings the past several years, and especially in 21, 22, a ton of people were job hopping. So even though vacancies are down, they're still at or even slightly above where they were back pre-pandemic. The unemployment rate right now is 4.4%. That's about a point higher than its recent low a couple of years ago, but it's still pretty low in the historical context. I get the sense from Federal Reserve officials and other policymakers that, yes, there's been some weakening in the job market, but they feel like it's reaching kind of a plateau, that it hopefully won't get much worse from here. Things could be stabilizing. So it's not the best, but it's far from the worst.
Okay, Ted Rossman, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's more pronounced that we're starting to see layoffs happening in the tech industry, in industries that are typically known for more resilience, higher paying jobs. Obviously, there is a big white collar recession happening, and a lot of that has to do with AI. And I feel like what's going to happen is really that people who are white collar in white collar roles are just seeing more of their jobs evaporated. Normally, a lot of the jobs that evaporate when things change in industry are not white collar jobs. Some cases they are, in some cases like middle management. But what we're seeing now, I think, is kind of like a reset of what the job market looks like. We're going to start seeing a lot more people. Here's my prediction time. We're going to start seeing a lot more people entering the trades, getting trade trained and making their six-figure white-collar salary doing trade work. That's my prediction moving forward. All right. Let me give you my final thoughts. So we just watched a few videos of people who are going through layoffs, going through the pressure and the struggle of trying to find a job. But it tells us three things might happen about in 2026. First, companies are protecting their margins. They are looking to ensure that they have the highest margin possible for their companies. They want to make sure that they actually have profits and they return profits to their shareholders. With payroll being the highest line item in most companies, the highest expense, they're going to protect that bottom line. Second, volatility is back. The stable corporate career track that people relied on for security and safety, that model has weakened a little bit. Layoffs are no longer rare events that happen every 10, 20 years. They're a recurring corporate tool to control expenses. So that should make us personally perhaps think, what kind of relationship do I want with a company? If you're a business owner on the other side, you should think, what can I do to ensure my employees that they don't have to worry about massive turnover at my company? And third, look, communication varies widely. Some leaders are transparent, some are not. Some are going to get out ahead of it. They're going to talk to you about what's coming, what changes, what the company looks like. And some are just going to surprise you in your inbox one day without you even knowing. So here's the part that matters. If you're an employee, you should pay close attention to how your company is doing. The financial position, what are the future goals of the company? Are they expressing things like, we're looking to get leaner in certain operational areas? If you start hearing these things, you should ask, what areas are you trying to get lean in? Right? Am I in the path? Am I in the chopping block? Because I'm trying to actually get out of the way before the big axe comes my way. And if you're a business owner, you want to be taking a look to see, are we built for stability and the ability to thrive in this marketplace? Can I survive? Can I get to the next level and ensure my long-term future? Here's the important mind shift. Job security in 2026 is not about tenure. It's about value density. The people closest to the revenue, the people closest to reducing costs, closer to solving expensive problems, these are the individuals who are going to preserve their jobs. Make yourself indispensable at your job the best you can. You need to be a value creator in whatever position you're in. See, once you understand the mechanics of how to make yourself valuable and you stop reacting emotionally and you start reacting strategically, you put yourself into the next stratosphere. Until the next one, I'm Micah from The Common Sense Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you like this video. I'll talk to you later.